There is a foreign president. These two.
Hey, guys.
And, do we ask for public comment before the pledge? No.
Nope.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I can't see the flag. Sorry, it's over here.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now we can ask, are there any public comments?
I don't have a sign-up sheet in here.
Yeah, I don't think anybody here is. We'll now proceed to recognitions and celebrations.
All right, so the thing that I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about is our DLT. So last week, we had the opportunity to come together as a district learning team. It was our directors, facilitators, principals, assistant principals, counselors, everybody just came together. We spent some days working on our mission, vision, some team building. I'm gonna let, if y'all don't mind, Jackie and Brittany, if y'all would come to the stand up, come on down to the front. I know how much y'all love talking in public.
Love it, yes. It's our favorite. So I can kind of start us off. So our DLT, our district learning team, came together for a 2-day, well, day and a half in this boardroom, and we had breakfast was served, and we had a full schedule of all kinds of things to talk about changing our mission and vision. First, it was something that we wanted to make sure that it encompassed everything that we kind of thought and felt moving forward. The other thing that I learned at our DLT is just a lot about our staff that I had no idea about. Just what makes them tick, what makes them, what motivates them, all of the things that you just don't get to know on a day-to-day with them. The third thing that I say that I took away from it was that Ms. Brashear did a great job of modeling how she wants faculty meetings to be led, what she expects out of them, and how to kind of motivate her staff or the principal staff, and just being able to model that was really something that I took away from it. So just keeping that positivity, that growth mindset going, and that engagement is just, that's what I took out of it. It's going to be really great moving forward if we continue to utilize the things that we learned that day.
And what was your taco name?
Mucho Nacho Taco.
Raw taco name.
We did all have taco names. We had to take the first letter of our first name and then match it up with our month. Yeah, birth month. And so everybody had a funny name, and so we introduced ourselves that way. So it kind of got a good laugh out of the whole group, but it also kind of just took off that edge of this is a meeting, you know. So that was good.
Yeah. So second everything Jackie said, but it was nice to not only have campus administrators in the same room, but people across the district. We had representation from maintenance. Mr. Beard was there. We had representation from our custodial staff and from our nutritional staff. And so it was really nice to get their perspectives on the district as well. And it's very rare that we're all in the same room together. So it was nice to be able to just collaborate amongst all of us. I really appreciated the process that Ms. Brashear set in place for us to come up with a mission and vision statement. So we were kind of each, and Ms. Fox was there for part of this, each in our own groups, and we brainstormed, and then we shared out, and then we voted, and then, you know, it ended up being this big group decision. But it was really neat because there were a lot of similar words that came across in each group, and just, you know, coming together as a district. And it was just, you know, it was very intentional, it was productive, and I think there's some great things set in place for the school year.
And I'll even say, I'll end with this, that we also talked about affirmations. So at the end, we kind of gave everybody an affirmation and got to, you know, share that with the group. And we even utilized it today in our meetings.
Yeah,
so there were some
yes.
affirmations going around today. So what she's doing, in my opinion, is moving us forward. We are continuing that positivity that we learned from her. And so I hope that it continues all the way till the end of May. So that's my hope.
And y'all would be shocked to know that we have some great singers and dancers in the room.
Yeah, Tracy.
Cheyenne did a little song. I won't make her do it here, but she did a little song.
And there might be some video evidence.
There is definitely video evidence. Chase was a great hype man.
Oh my goodness, yes. So, little rapper in him.
He was a Tracy, super competitive. I mean, she was like coming after, like her and Christy were going like at each other's throats, like over some rock, paper, scissors. So, you know, there are some things you did not know about this group. Principals, anything y'all feel like you need to add? Indeed.
I'm just excited to be able, like Jackie said, you modeled what you expect to see. And I'm excited to bring that back and share that with our staff. The first thing we did is come back as a team and talk about how do we bring this back to elementary and get our teachers excited to be back.
Boys?
It was good. Yeah, it was great. To everybody in the district, including, secondary staff, and it was just a great time for everybody to meet and greet and get ready for the year.
I really, there's a lot I really enjoyed, but I really enjoyed just having nutrition, maintenance, custodian there, and I spoke with Zelda a little bit, but just, because they work so hard, and a lot of times they're not in our team meetings on campus or things like that, but the work they do is just, we couldn't do without them, so I like that you included them, and just getting to know them and everybody, so it's good.
And they did a great job. Everybody was engaged and committed to the process. Devices were down. I was very, very impressed with this group. They did a great job. So y'all have chosen well and approved well on the people you have leading your district. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. I've always,
And I will send y'all the video.
that'd be cool. For me, those things always made me a little uneasy, but the fact that, personally, in my feelings about any team, everybody thinks they want to get to the top, and nothing runs well unless everybody from the very back is in on the deal.
And I think one of the things we talked about is, it felt really good, right? I mean, it was a great day. We felt good. We felt connected. We felt positive. Education is hard, and every day is not easy. And so, we feel connected, and we talk about, our strengths, and we talk about our constraints, and we talk about, what are our constraints, and we talked about leadership as a behavior, because when things get hard, how are we going to treat each other? We built a social contract. We talked about how we're going to treat each other, because education is hard, and when things get hard, I want us to remember those moments. I want us to assume the best in each other, that we are not perfect people and we messed up, but we're here because we love our kids. We love this district. We believe in the mission and vision, and, so anybody want to share the mission and vision that we all came up with?
Cultivating the mission.
Okay.
Cultivating a legacy of service and excellence.
Very good. And the vision?
Educate, empower, excel.
Very good.
Look great on a t-shirt.
And they're all E's, just like Nicole.
I really want to throw that. I told them they're going to show up one day and the word engaged is just going to be like snuck in there. No, I wouldn't do that. But
What's the
no,
mission? Cultivating a legacy of service and what?
excellence. This, I think I was talking to Jackie and Amanda today, very spoiled coming into a district with, Tracy and Cheyenne, who are here and taking such great care of me, and having Jackie and Amanda, and just so immediately, like today we were over here and I pulled Amanda and I said, I need your advice on something. And, we were talking and being able to, just sit down and work at a computer. And Amanda's like, Jackie, I'm the big picture, work out the details, fix the font. Having that type of team is very unusual, and I am very blessed that that's what I got to step into. And then to have Tanya taking care of the elementary, and to bring, Chase and Drew, and just the people in this district are exceptional. And I'm glad we got to spend a day and a half letting each other see that. So
That's cool.
very good.
All right.
Moving on to the fun stuff.
Yeah, next item up on the deal is discuss possible vacancy. Mr. Cox has resigned his seat on the board. When a vacancy occurs on the board and more than a year remains in the term of the position vacated, the remaining trustees have two options: fill the vacancy by appointment until the next trustee election, or order a special election to fill the vacancy for an unexpired term. The discussion of how we fill the vacancy must be held publicly, while any discussion about candidates may be done in closed meeting according to Texas Government Code 551.0754.
And at the last meeting,
At the
y'all
last meeting,
voted, and
we voted to first, to fill the vacancy by appointment.
Yeah.
And we discussed in closed meeting, and we approached Keith Caldwell, who spent many years on the board and would have the best experience and understanding, and plus go through a lot of the stuff that we've been through this last year, kind of keep on going with that.
Nomination?
Well, I think, oh yeah, we haven't nominated, have we? So, have a nomination. Anyone?
I'll make the
Make a
nomination.
motion. Yeah.
Make the motion to nominate Keith.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Well, I guess we have to vote. All those in favor of appointing Keith Caldwell to the vacant position, raise your hand. All those opposed? How many of us are here?
5.
Okay, motion passed 5-0. I think you gotta dip his feet and be last.
I think he's good. Tracy, you want to go ahead and swear in and?
Yes, but he can go ahead and sit up here and then we can do the oath of office.
Absolutely. Let's get it going. Up here where you belong.
Yeah, small vacation. Sabbatical. Okay.
If you will repeat after me. I state your name. You're gonna say that. Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office
of the office
of School Board Trustee
of School Board Trustee
for the Rogers School District
for the Rogers School District
of the State of Texas,
of the State of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
All right, congratulations.
All right,
All right, so
thanks Keith.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
now to the superintendent report.
and you're back.
That's that easy, huh?
Are we gonna talk all the time? Poor Keith had to deal with me so much during during the 21 days and. All right, so we will jump that is Tracy. Just take a minute. Just jump in.
Please tell me you have video.
No.
No, I don't. Upcoming date. Oh man, it just went fast. Don't you worry, I'll get it back. Don't you worry. So upcoming dates. I think these are things that y'all know about. Our registration's kicking off the 31st. We got policy committee the 30th. I'm headed to superintendent conference after our board meeting tonight. PD will be for new teachers the 1st and 2nd. Our ELC is going to open the 5th. Our new teacher, or all of our teachers come back the 5th. The 5th is a comp day. That's the day that we have put in the calendar for a comp. I don't think we'll have a lot of teachers on site. If they are on site, we're going to let them use that day for a work day, kind of take care of their classroom. 6th is convocation. In the morning, we're calling that campus convocation. That's when the principals will have their staff. They'll roll out the mission, vision, team builders, take care of, a couple campus things, but really a day to start working on the culture and climate of the campus. And then in the afternoon is the district convocation where we're all going to come together as a district. We've got meet the teacher on the 8th, and then things really kick off. We've got our middle school schedule pickup, high school schedule pickup, all the orientations, meet the Eagles, black and gold, and then we got the first day, and somebody can't spell August on the bottom. So lots of busy things happening, and I'll keep sharing those in our updates. DLT update, we talked about that. That is where Cheyenne is singing. She's got the microphone. Chase is a hype man. Jackie is, man, she was a great dancer. And Zelda, check out Zelda over here. Check out Zelda. Next year, we're gonna have a picture of Charlie breakdancing and doing the worm. I've heard he does that after a big win. That's what the kids tell me. I've got you penciled in for convocation for the worm.
That's not a win.
Maintenance and operations update. We have asked Jason to kind of step in, share some big things that are happening. Before he starts, I just want to take a minute. We're talking about affirmations. Jason and his staff have done an excellent job this summer. They have worked very, very hard in not ideal weather conditions, taking care of our buildings, our grounds, getting things ready. Football field's looking good. Middle school looks amazing. It looks so good. It has inspired us to get pricing on doing kind of the same thing on the Bonds building. So we'll have some of that for you. In your packet, I've got summer projects as well as kind of an update on some of the things we've spent with the bond money. But Jason, you want to talk a little bit about all the things from this summer?
Yeah. Probably I don't know if it's the number one thing, but it's been the number one thing I've been the most worried about. That's been the visitors bleachers. That's been a tenuous task to try to keep everybody on track and make sure everything is correct on that. And so at this time, they're just almost through. They've got the bleachers set up. The only thing they're lacking is just some railing work and just some small things to tidy up. And I think they would have already been through yesterday had it not been for the rain. So I expect that to be done this week. We'll have to do some buttoning up around there with some fences that we had to take down to make room with some things and that nature, to put some gates up and that type of thing to get ready for the ball games. But we'll be there and we're on track.
Sarah asked earlier about the top. Like, will that be
We're
closed
gonna
in?
have chain link fencing around the top and the sides of the
Yeah,
bleachers.
it'll have a rail just like it does on the home side.
Okay,
It'll be a
that's
chain
what
link
I was
fence up
looking
there.
at.
The one thing that I've just learned this week is that they don't have anything for the bottom of that bleacher. We have on the home stands, if you kind of look at that, it's almost like the bleacher seat itself, and they've put them on the bottom of those stands. I called Sturdy Steel about that. He said, well, that was an option that y'all didn't choose, so we've not included that. He said, there's different ways to do that. He said, you can do it yourself if you want to get our panel and put that up. He said, we can do that. He said, well, we can do it with the stadium seating, which is a lot more durable and it looks a lot nicer. It matches everything. So I've asked him to prepare a proposal for us, and we'll look at the pricing on that and kind of compare that to if we do it ourselves, what would it cost? If we have them do it, what would it cost? And I can almost tell you that we'll probably do that ourselves. But
And
we'll get it
it'll
done.
match what.
It won't be
our
done
home-
before football season
But
starts.
it'll look like what our home side looks
Yeah,
like.
it'll look like that. It won't be. I just don't want a situation where we've got kids playing up under those stands. I don't feel like that's safe. So if we can't get the correct material up before football season, we'll put some chain link up. We'll do something there that'll look decent and be functional. So we'll make that work. You can see the picture of the middle school here. That's Ralston Painting. They've done an outstanding job. We asked them to look into some options because that building has got that split face rock and it's real coarse and it just seems to absorb water a lot. We've spent a lot of money on this building in the last few years. We did all of the caulking of the joints on the outside of the building. We've had all the windows reglazed and retrimmed around the windows to prevent some of the water from coming in. We've got a new roof on the building. We've done some painting. We've done a lot of work on the inside. But I felt like with the way the building looked on the inside, it just looked aged. It looked old. And so that split face rock just absorbs a lot of water. And so I talked with some people, and Kyle Kaser, y'all may know him, came up with a product that he'd used for years. That's a waterproofing agent, and it helps keep that building dry. And I actually went over there today, and I had some water from the rain in a 5-gallon bucket and threw it on that building, and it just threw it right back at me. It's dry. I mean, it's not allowing any of that water to get on there. They say it lasts about 10 years, so they're just about finished. He's got a little bit more to do on the backside. You can see in that picture how he's painting the tiles up on the top. You see that they're blue and red on one side and black and gold on the other, so it's all going to match black and gold to kind of go along with the theme that we created last spring when we did the Beautify Rogers Day. So anyway, again, in the future, we'd like to see, can we maybe do that on the Bonds building, since that building is the same type of structure, and I think it would really help dress that up and make that look nice. So I'll get some pricing on that, and we can see what we can afford to do here in the future. And then maybe we can take that same attitude and same movement and continue to do some of these other buildings. You know, the gym and some of those buildings are getting mold on the sides and they just don't look as nice as I'd like for them to look. So I'd like to get going on that as well. The other project that some of you may have noticed was the bridge over by the field house. That bridge got in real bad condition right at the end of the school year. We had to put some metal plates out there just to kind of make it to the end of the school year to make sure it didn't collapse. Mr. Stevens, Robert Stevens, and his crew came in. Within 1 week, they had the whole thing dug out. They had it redone. It's done on a lot stronger, different construction method than what was done before. So that bridge will be here when you and I, all of us, are long gone. It's here to stay. So they did an outstanding job, and we're, like always, a pleasure to work with. So the other project that we've got to do between now and the time school starts, and we're trying to battle weather and some scheduling conflicts, is to finish the road up at our early learning center, and so that's still on task. Other than that, we're doing an awful lot of air conditioner checking and repairs and just getting ready for school to start. A lot of plumbing work, those types of things.
You want to talk a little bit about the floor and the cafeteria, what you are doing for that?
We've got some issues on the floor of the cafeteria. You know, that lower level in that cafeteria sits below grade, and so we're getting some water penetration from outside the building. We think we've got some ideas on where we can go to work on that. We're going to try to do some work ourselves without having to pay contractors to come in and see if we can seal off some of those areas to keep that water from penetrating. But we may end up having to have some outside help. It just depends on what we can and can't do. We're just going to have to do some trial and error on that. But over between the gym and that library is where we're having some water penetration issues there. It's seeping down into the floor of that library, or into the cafeteria.
And the fire alarm.
The fire alarms, I'm glad you reminded me of that. We've got, and y'all heard me talk about this before, we've got 5 different fire alarm systems in this district. They're all different brands. And so it makes it really difficult to try to get one company that can come in and just take care of everything, because they're very proprietary, and one company doesn't work on this one, they can only work on this one, and so forth. And so we've had struggles over the years trying to get everything updated and kept up working right. We've got, if you remember, we did a bond in 2015, I believe, and we did the new high school wing, and we connected the fire alarm to the remodeling that we did on the south wing. So those 2 buildings are interconnected, and I believe there's about 70 smoke detectors, and you've got all the pull stations and all the different devices. And so those things are not built quite like they used to be, and we're starting to have an awful lot of daily alarms going off. And so I can't go to the store and pick up a smoke detector and change it out and say, okay, it's good, like I can on some of our other systems. We have to actually have somebody from the company come in and plug that in, give it an IP address, and program it. And it's something that you have to have a license for. So I've got some pricing to have them come in between now and the time school starts. Since we've got new leadership here, I just want the school year to start smooth. I don't want the principals to have to be worried about how to silence the alarm all the time. And I don't want that mentality to be, oh, we hear an alarm going off, it's probably nothing. I want that when that alarm goes off, I want it to catch people's attention. So, and I'm tired of getting up on midnight on Saturday coming up here. So we're going to look at, I think Tracy's found the money. I think we're going to go ahead and get the purchase order issued, and we're going to have them come in and replace all the smoke sensors. And then in the future, what I would like to look at is to replace our existing smoke or our existing fire alarms with all the same type of system. I did the one in the middle school last year. We replaced it for $17,000. I made sure that we got, I did my research. We got a really nice system that's non-proprietary, that I can actually go and buy the smoke sensors and replace those ourselves. And so it's something that we're not going to have the problem of having, 5 different systems in one district. We'll try to get them consistent if we can, maybe look at that towards the bond when we get to that point. Okay.
Project or questions for Jason?
Thank y'all.
All right. So I'm going to have Amanda come.
You're gonna
and-
switch my slides for me?
I will.
I don't have a clicker.
Do you want me to switch them?
Yeah, we can.
You can just wink at me and that's when I'll, okay. So,
So, just like to get started, there's no surprises. There's no surprises in our scores. Those of us that were here last year, we know our weak spots, and we've already put things in motion to fix those things with new curriculum. And we've already met about it, and we know where we need to make adjustments. We got scores and everybody went off contract. And now we're all back on contract. I don't even know if the new guys have access to Cambium yet. I don't know if they can log in yet. We're still working on getting them hooked up to the system. So we're in August going to hit the ground running with our data meetings. Changes in 2024. We are now in STAR 2.0. That means all of the questions are not multiple choice. 75% of the questions can be multiple choice. The rest of the questions have to be a different format. And I know last year we went over some of those different formats that we were preparing teachers to use, the hot text, the drag and drop, the short answer questions. And so our students are having to learn how to take tests in a different way. The test prioritizes cross-curricular passages, meaning that on their English test, they're going to read something that's social studies related or science related, and that's what they're going to have to answer questions about. The reading tests assess both reading and writing skills, including the new question types and extended responses and essays on every grade level. So every grade has to write. And I think my principals will agree that we are weak in our writing curriculum. That is an area that we need to grow on, and we know that.
Well, and I think a lot of times kids, and this isn't just typical of Rogers, kids just assimilate, writing with reading, right? And so when you ask them to write on a math test or on a science test or, biology, they look at you like you ask them to build a rocket and fly to the moon. And that's where we're weak is writing across the curriculum. And really the pendulum has kind of swung back to formula writing, where 5 years ago was about voice and imagination. And now, and Amanda will talk a little bit about grading. Now the pendulum has swung back, I don't know, my day, where it's like give an introduction, paragraph, closing. The pendulum has swung back.
So constructed responses, which are short answer questions, are not only on reading and social studies like they have in the past. They're on every test except for math now. And so the students are expected to write on every discipline. And they kind of moved the bar on us, and they told us that they never gave us a straight answer until after the fact. They said, oh, well, it might be AI graded. It may not be AI graded. You may have a combo AI and human grader. Well, it turns out they had more AI grading than human grading.
They called it hybrid, but
Hybrid grading. Basically, what they would do is have a computer graded paper, human graded paper, and if it was really different, they would have another human graded paper. And our teachers grade with the teacher heart. And so even me as a teacher, I would read it and I'm like, oh, I know exactly what they're trying to say. And so I'm going to score them higher. Computers do not do that. They have the formula loaded in the computer, and they give them the grade that the computer thinks that they should get. And so this is an example of what a short constructed response looks like on a science test. So it says the class is using a setup shown to test this hypothesis. So the first we have to know what hypothesis means. And then it gives a diagram, and it says, what is one more piece of equipment needed to test the hypothesis, and how can the hypothesis be tested? And then the student has a little blank where they have to type a mini paragraph to answer this question. And I gave an example of what a 2-point answer looks like. They can get 1 point if they answer one piece of this correct. They get 2 points if they answer both pieces correct, and they get a 0 if they don't answer it at all correct. So this is what the state says they have to put to get 2 points. The last item needed.
And this is 5th grade?
This is 5th grade. The last item needed in this
13th,
experiment,
in case you're wondering.
it's 5th grade science. The last
11.
item needed in this experience is a measuring tool. I would suggest a yardstick. Also, to test the hypothesis, you should roll the marble down the ramp with the same amount of force each time. After you roll the marble, take away a book. Then measure the difference the car went. Remember, there should be 3 trials to a good experiment. So that's what we have to teach our students to write, and they're not used to writing a sentence to answer the question. So that's what we're working with. Y'all have any questions about that? And then I'll tell you what we're doing.
We really wanted to give y'all the question and see how
Yeah,
y'all
see how you would
answer
answer.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to do that on Keith's first day back. We liked him.
Strong suits.
So what does that mean for us?
Yeah, you're an engineer. You'd have been fine.
And we have, as a district level team, we've talked about what it looks like for the state of Texas. Middle school decreased in all subjects across the state. Mathematics decreased in every grade from 3 to 12. English arts decreased in 3rd, 4th, and 8th grade. Social studies scores remained relatively flat, and science dropped statewide 5, 8, and the EOC.
And this data comes from the state data they've released.
Yes.
We have our superintendent calls every month where the commissioner gets on and shares information. This is information that's public. It's now public. It was shared with the superintendents first, but it's now public.
For us, for Rogers ISD, we decreased in meets and masters. Now our passing rate stayed relatively the same. About the same amount of kids passed the tests. But to be excellent, we want more kids to get masters than meets, and more kids get meets than approaches. So we're not happy with our results there. Students struggled with extended constructive response and short constructive response. We know that our writing is weak. Writing across the curriculum is somewhere that we have got to put some more attention, and we have to get teachers using rubrics and comfortable with AI grading. And Tanya's picked a program for the elementary school. It's called Writable, and it's a program that kids can answer questions in, and it'll give immediate feedback, and it allows the teacher to read it and grade it as well. So it's kind of a hybrid. Would you call it a hybrid?
Yes.
Hybrid writing curriculum. And then the high school uses Am I Right? And we're going to extend that down to middle school. We'll start that at 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
I was just gonna ask, how can you tell if they've grown if the test changes so much
It's a
every year?
really good question.
Yeah.
This
Well,
fits
and
the
I-
governor's narrative.
Well, and I got one even better for you. Some of our teachers for TIA, the science teaks are changing. So we're required to give a beginning of the year assessment so that we can have beginning of the year and end of the year, right? But the only assessments that we have are released
STAR test.
from STAR tests from old teaks. So they have told us that we have to use old teaks that we're not even teaching for beginning of the year, and then our new teaks at the end of the year.
It's crazy.
Does that even almost sound fair? I mean, we're gonna do it because we're gonna play the game, but
So like a personal story, like with the AI grading, my son is going to be a junior, and one of his English teachers approached me. She said, I think he's using AI to write his essays. And like my middle child probably would do that. My oldest,
he's watching this right now.
my oldest would never. He would never. And so I asked him, and he's like, "No, Mom, I swear I didn't. I swear I didn't." Well, he's gotten for the past 2 years a 10 out of 10 on his essay on the STAR. And so you can pull it up on Parent Portal. You can see your kids' essays and all the things now. So I'll pull it up, and it sounds like a robot wrote the essay. It is very formulaic.
So even on his STAR test.
Yes, even on his STAR test. And so he can't use an AI on STAR test. That's just how he writes, and that's how they're expecting.
And what did he get on STAR?
A 10 out of 10. Both years. He got
Oh, like a
10 out of 10.
robot. Got a 10 out of
Yes.
10.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So any questions about that? Okay. So explanation of scoring. I know most of y'all are parents and have kids that are in school now, so you know the masters, the meets, the approaches, and the did not meet. And you saw my graph last year, but to remind you, the red is did not pass, the purple is approaches, the blue is meets, and the green is masters. But the green and blue together would be meet. Like, does that make sense to you? Like it's the 32, 21, 25 are all passing, and then it separates it into the higher levels. Does that make sense? Okay. So here's third grade. This is the 2024 reading versus the 2023 reading. So it's different groups of kids, but this is kind of where we look at what I like to look at is the red and the green, because I want to see more green and less red. And that you can kind of see we've dropped in all areas in third grade, and a lot of that has to do with that writing component. They are just not used to doing it, and so that's an area that we really need to focus on.
Two different
And if
tests.
y'all if principals have anything
Two
to chime
different
in,
tests. Yes. And
Two different sets.
two different tests, two different sets of kids. And what I'll also say is, and I'm a little bit biased because it's our kids in our town. Our kids did a much better job. I'm gonna say our teachers because it's different kids. Our teachers did a much better job of adjusting quicker than other places.
yes.
Because other places were experiencing 15, 17, 19%.
We're not outliers. We're still performing
Yeah.
better than our region. It's just
We
for
just have to give our
for
teachers
our comfort
tools.
level. Rogers likes to see lots of green,
Absolutely.
and
100%.
that's where we want to be.
We want to excel.
Yes, we want to excel. And if principals have anything to chime in whenever you get to a slide, just holler. Okay. This is fourth grade. It's much the same. We know where our weaknesses are. It's short constructed response, and our math curriculum is weak. We're working on that. That'll be our next big adoption is math. Reading is in teachers' hands. That was delivered this
They're
week.
excited.
Thank you, Mr. Beard, for dragging all those boxes up the hill. And science will be in teachers' hands before they get here. That'll be finalized this week. So
And something kind of before we jump to the next slide, we saw a big hit in fifth grade science. And I think that kind of goes back to fifth grade science saw the biggest change with the extended, constructor response, the short constructor response.
And new teaks.
New teaks. I mean, it was just, fifth grade science took a hit this year across the state.
Here's fifth grade. I feel like we're trending. It's the same trend as the other grades. So it's not something that's standing out. It's a trend, and we're following where that trend is leading us, and we know that we need to.
Have we seen what that looks like compared to surrounding schools in
It's
our
very
area?
very similar. Yes. Yeah.
So we got the data from the Region Center that showed us the state and the region. So we were able to see comparatively to the state, comparatively to the region. And then what I like probably more than anything is at the end of August, they'll come out with our comparison groups. And so we'll be able to look at across the state of Texas, I think it's like what, 20?
They put schools that are the same.
That's the same
economic
size,
kind
same
of-
economic, and then we'll get to see where we rank in that comparison group. And that's probably the best source of where are we? Like, did we really mess up? Were we really ahead and it's a state thing?
Well, the unfortunate thing is it's gonna be smeared across the news that Texas has dropped.
Oh, 100%.
And yes, exactly. And it's not indicative of what's going on because like Trey said, it's different groups of kids, but it's also two separate tests.
Two separate tests.
It would be like, going and playing Canadian football, having never practiced.
So these scores were coming in right when Carol was retiring, as Carol was leaving, and so she would be on email or on the phone with Jackie and I all hours of the night because she was wanting to just get all of the information that was in her head. She was wanting to pass it on, and she actually had access on the district level to look at the scores way before we did. And there are lots of kids that would have gotten masters with one question. Like it was one question, probably a constructed response.
Probably one point.
It was one or two questions. And then the really big kicker is that the state increased the passing rate by 1 and 2 questions on all tests. So it wasn't even the same measuring field.
And something else, and I don't know if this impacted Rogers, I wasn't here during testing, but I can tell you it impacted Royal, is they took away, prior to last year, kids could test until they were done testing. Like they had all the time. We had kids on my, they just test as long as they need it. With STAR 2.0, like you're done. When your school day is done,
It's over.
you're done. And I don't know if that impacted us with kids, but I know it impacted other places.
Okay, so our next steps for RES, and this is where if you want to chime in, please do. Principals and assistant principals will work with Brashear, Dodd, and Hankey on how to create targeted goals based on the accountability system for our most recent MAP assessment data. NWEA MAP is a assessment that we use to measure progress at the elementary school. They take a beginning of year, middle of year, end of year, and it shows growth. Most of you have had kids that go through elementary year, and you've probably seen those MAP reports. So we'll use that to create an assessment model for K through 5. We're going to refine the RES assessment protocol. Dr. Dockery has done an amazing job with really looking at the elementary testing calendar and acknowledging that those kids are tested too much and a lot, and looking at the assessments that really give us good, meaningful data and keeping those, and releasing the ones that are wasting time. We don't want to give an assessment just to say we gave the assessment and then not ever look at the data. That wastes good teaching time. And so she's done a really good job streamlining that schedule. And I think the teachers are going to be really happy and appreciate the extra time in their classes. New mentor coaching. We've got HMH reading curriculum in the hands of teachers, and they are already planning because they're emailing me. STEMscopes math, STEMscopes science, and the teachers have had a preview this summer. They've had access this summer through a preview account, and they'll have their full account before they get here in August for work days. And we have representatives from HMH and STEMscopes coming in person to do training with our teachers during August PD. So they'll be able to have people from those companies here to ask questions and get them through the units. Training and writing across the curriculum, short constructed responses. Our professional development on all campuses is going to be really heavy on writing and how to use that writing software that we're gonna get. I already told you about Writable. core content assessments, that's the MAP and the BOI, MOI, end of year data tracking. Anything else?
The core content will kind of help with a couple of different things. We'll use that for TIA. And we're doing that for all core content. And that sets the stage for when we can add other teachers to TIA, not just our STAR tested teachers.
I mean, I think the only thing that I would add is coming back to the assessment protocol. Our teachers, especially in our lower grades, where the beginning of the year is such a huge time to get started off right. But our teachers have been spending up to 3 weeks doing individual assessments with kids. And then that data would get turned in and it just really wasn't being used the way it needed to be used. And we want to be able to give that time back to teachers to do instruction, to meet those kids' needs rather than wasting that valuable instructional time we do have. So I'm really excited to be able to come back and talk to you about that.
And I'll tell you, that's something that came up. Teachers are going to be happy about that. Elementary came up in the state interviews that they felt like kids were over tested. So that's going to be a big win for you.
All right, 6th grade. The trend continues. I feel like the exact same thing at elementary school. We have got to really hit those writing components on the test. I've looked at I had a middle schooler, and so I've kind of dug into his tests and some of the other tests, and a lot of those short constructed responses were zeros, and a lot of the essays were low scoring. And so I think that expanding that Am I Right down to the middle grade will help with that, because they wrote essays. It was just the computer was not grading them high. They were getting low scores on those.
And if they go off topic,
If they go off topic, it's
it's
zero.
a zero.
It's a 0.
7th grade.
7th grade, similar. And 8th grade is the first year they take all the tests. And so that there's lots of colors on that screen, but it's very similar. The social studies test is always performed the lowest in 8th grade. That one also is heavy in writing, and so I think that the writing across the curriculum will help in social studies. The next steps for RMS, we are adding a standalone ESL class. We haven't had that in a very long time, and I think that will be very beneficial to our ESL students. Instead of just being served through their English class, they'll actually have an elective class that they will go to get help with whatever classes they're struggling in, reading and math. Math reading, 6th graders restructuring. Do you want to elaborate on that, or just stop me if you want to add anything? Math reading, 7th grade students who did not meet will go to math intervention based on STAR data and interim data. In the past, all students have been required to take the math intervention class. They called it advanced or accelerated math. And
Sorry, you referring to 7th grade?
I'm talking about the intervention class that they
For 7th grade.
6th grade, 7th grade was talked about starting next year, and then we kind of reworked that.
Okay. So there is a new law in place.
So
that
all 7th graders will not, y'all took that out, right, Jay?
All
Correct.
7th
And
graders
that
are-
wasn't, that's not a change from last year. Last year, all 7th grade wasn't required, but I know they had talked about prior to becoming, making all 7th graders take
required to take
But we're not
extra
gonna do
math.
a second math,
Okay.
and so.
So there's a new law in place that if a student scores in the top 40% of their campus, they have to be invited to take advanced math. And so we are working through that and getting the advanced academics figured out. And I think those letters, they just went out, or they're about to go out. I saw the email.
Yeah, I was curious what that looked like, because I know the ones who have tried to take Algebra 1 in 8th grade, they have 6th grade math and 7th grade math and 8th grade math in their 7th grade year. And so is that kind of what y'all are talking about doing?
So this new, so the current 7th graders and current 8th graders that want to take effect with those, it would start with the new 6th graders.
Okay.
But if a kid is a 7th, 8th, then they're looking at that combined,
Gotcha.
taking 2 in a year.
So you're looking at the top 40% of 6th grade testers?
Well, this is a state
Okay.
legislative thing that came out, and so it's saying they automatically have to be enrolled in the top 40%.
But they can opt out.
But they can opt out. And so with that letter we're sending out, there's the form also for the opt-out if they choose to opt out.
I guess I'm just curious if the state has like a.
No.
They don't have.
They throw out all the things.
No.
They don't have a way for the kids to make up the teaks that they're missing.
No.
If they just
Yeah.
skip that.
And I'll tell you, just on a personal level, I hate compressed
It's based on
curriculum.
the math.
I hate trying to take two years of curriculum or 2 years of TEKS and pushing them into 1 year. That is crazy. And here's the thing, I think excellent master teachers could do it 100%. But there's no guarantees that excellent master key teacher stays in that position, or that every kid gets that excellent master teacher, or it's hard. It's impossible.
I
It's
will say-
impossible to do it well. Kids end up with gaps.
Of my 3 kids who've taken 7th and 8th grade math concurrently, I think it's worked out really well.
Yeah.
Because of the
and I hate-
difference in curriculum.
And I hate a kid losing an elective, but if you try to push 2 years into 1 year, they will have gaps. 100%.
So STEM
I think they'll
scopes,
all die on.
STEM scope science is going to be aligned all the way through 8th grade. So those middle school science teachers will be trained on STEM scopes in August as well. We have an advanced academics facilitator. I think this position is going to really help us push those meets to masters, because we'll be able to serve those kiddos that are flagged GT or advanced. And she's going to work really closely with middle school teachers to support those kids in their classes. We're going to move, am I right, down to 6th grade. So 6th, 7th, and 8th grade will start using that for writing. Core content assessments will also be at middle school. We'll do a beginning of year, middle of year, and end of year for data tracking. And then the teachers are hungry for learning walks and teacher feedback. Ms. Brashear told us in her state interviews that teachers are asking for people to be in their classrooms, and we're ready for it. So that'll be next steps for middle school. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, something that's going to be a little bit new is the GT. We'll be more intentional with serving those GT kids that are in the middle school, and making more intentional. We're going to have a pull out every week with those kids, just where it's, you could say, hey, because a lot of times it gets, once they go from elementary to middle school or high school, there's kind of a drop off in middle schools. GT's once a semester type thing, but we want to continue that with like a weekly service for them. And so, it's a great time to add that advanced academic facilitator, since we're having this new GT program, and this new law requires us to have advanced 6th grade math. That's going to be great support for us and for our teachers there. So,
And I know Victoria has some great ideas. She's talked about having our secondary kids partner with our elementary kids as far like a GT buddy system. She's got some great ideas. So I'm looking forward to her getting here and getting on contract and doing some good
Okay,
things.
USCs. High school's pretty stagnant. We did not make a whole lot of changes, but I think it could be because of the writing. Our high school teachers, especially at the ELA part, our writing teachers have been using the AI grader for a couple of years now. And so I think that may have helped our writing scores at the high school level. But they seem pretty stagnant, pretty much the same as prior years. Next steps for the high school, support from the advanced academics facilitator. She's going to also serve our high school teachers and help them with our advanced students. Expand, am I right? We purchase it by the license. So the students can log into it in any class and put their writing into it. And so we'll train our other discipline teachers to use that as well. So if they science wants to give an assignment and am I right, they can assign it, and then it gives a place for teacher feedback, and then it gives immediate feedback from the computer player. So we'll do that as well. Core content assessments, also the beginning of year, middle of year, end of year data tracking. I'm very excited about this. It's been a really long time since we've had an aligned PLC process. I know that our new counselor and Drew have been working really hard to at least try to get teachers in common PLC periods so that they can plan together and do data tracking meetings. It may not work out for every single discipline, but we're making progress in that area. We'll be able to have some really meaningful planning meetings with all of the English teachers at one time and all of the math teachers at one time instead of having everybody separate planning periods. Data tracking, data-driven instruction in that PLC process will help with that. And then again, teaching and learning walkthroughs with teacher feedback. And I know that both of our new principals have mentioned having teachers watch other teachers. And that was one of the ways that I became a better teacher, was watching teachers that are better than me, or teachers that were good at something that I felt like I was weak in, and learning from them. And I think that we've got some really strong teachers in our district. even if a high school teacher wanted to go and watch a middle school teacher or even an elementary teacher, sometimes those elementary teachers are really good at multitasking and group work. And if we have a teacher that is stuck in rows and she's really wanting to branch out, then I think that our administrative team right now is really open to that, and I'm excited for it.
Anything, Drew?
Yeah, so with the PLCs, we want to be very purposeful and intentional on what we do with that. Specifically looking at that data and how we're going to utilize it to build a better learning situation for our students. With our learning walks, going around with teachers, saying, okay, here's what we look for, here's what the expectation is, and going through and being very, very methodical. That way we can get that data that we need to help our kids out. Because as you know, with everything changing with our testing, we have to be on the up and up on that as well. And so by doing that process, being very intentional about it, we can help our students achieve that.
Indeed.
Indeed. I think that's the last slide. Our next big item is math curriculum, and I know that we'll start working on that pretty quick after we get the ball rolling for this school year. We'll start meeting with our math team because that one's going to be a biggie. So, are there any questions? Oh, there's my baby.
I know. And that's our launch. Engage, empower, excel. Great job, Amanda. Thank you. All right. So before you jump to the next one, I just want to kind of give you a heads up. The city of Rogers did not have their MOU prepared, but we are very, very excited to welcome a second SRO.
All right.
So we added a second SRO. I have a little offer for you.
Is it through the city of Rogers?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, through the city of Rogers. So now we will have two. And of course, we're still keeping the Guardian program. It's just, an extra, just an extra layer.
Right.
Lexi. Find it. Okay, so it is Kyle Perot. He's married with 4 children. He comes to the Rogers Police Department with over 13 and a half years of law enforcement, from working in the Clean Police Department and the Clean ISD Police Department. So he comes with a background in school police and in street police.
From the streets.
The streets. He goes to the streets. He actually came to our principal meeting today. Spent some time with us. He fixed Brittany's drawer like day one. She had a drawer that was stuck.
First time I met him, I said, I need help. And he did it right then and there.
So we were excited to have him. He's learning the ropes and fits right in, but we don't have that MOU from them. They just weren't ready, but I'll have that for y'all next time. So.
Can we meet these people at some point? Like, can we invite them to a?
Oh, no, I told him y'all didn't want to meet him.
them.
Yeah, y'all. So he just happened, but yeah, we'll meet him. You've never met the other SRO? Oh, well, yeah, you can meet him.
To get you on a safety committee.
You need to be on the policy committee.
We will make it happen. So, when you said, can we meet these people? I'm like, what people? But, okay, anyways, now it's your show.
All right. Next item is, your chance to review the minutes from the July 9th call board meeting, July 17th board meeting. We do not have, do we have MOUs?
Yeah, you have the MOUs, just not the Rogers.
Yeah, that's not excluding the Rogers MOU. If there's any discussion, questions, I'll read those to Mr. Crash here. Don't have any concerns.
Pretty standard. Wait on
He's
you.
under one.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Here's the one that catches you.
Well, and I thought I caught something, and I was like, really confused. When was Cody here? When was Cody not here? It's all good.
If you don't have anything Do I have a motion to approve as presented by admin?
That's what moved.
So,
I'll second.
Sarah. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, motion carries 6-0. The next one is, had the chance to consider and review the student handbook. Any discussion? That was a lot of paper. That was a lot of pages.
Yeah, so that way if they need to change it.
So we,
Yes, we don't need to.
so we can skip the handbook and go to the code of conduct.
Oh, so that one is gonna be.
I should have paid attention to the training.
No.
So that's,
Yeah, so we just have to do the code of conduct. What about the employee handbook?
I think both of the handbooks are together, so that way if they need to change.
Okay, so the handbooks
in
are
some
just
way-
as information items, y'all have
Yes.
those. And then the code of conduct will be the only thing that we need to vote on.
okay.
So we're going to table those.
I was gonna say,
because
we have to,
So Sarah said we don't, in her policy update, that we don't have to vote on the handbooks. We only have to vote on the code of conduct.
yeah, but
reason-
since it's on the agenda, we have to do something with this. We have to either table it.
Consider, so, or we just state that it's not required.
The
table
reason for
indefinitely.
that, yes, according to our policy workshop that we did this summer, they don't want the board to approve a handbook because if you need to change it for some reason, you
Oh,
don't want
like
to have to
COVID.
wait
I
for
remember
us.
that.
You don't want to have to wait for the board's approval and then the time, all of that. So that's a living document for you guys to use as you need it. So we only approve the code of conduct.
So can we just put that in the minutes?
That's what I'm working on.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay, and then we'll just move to code of conduct.
All right. We got a chance to consider and review the student code of conduct. Is there any discussion? All right, if you don't have any other, do I have a motion to approve the as presented by admin? First, by Chad, is there a second?
I'll say it.
Second by Brad. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. You had a chance to consider and review the employee handbook. Is there any discussion on that?
I think that's the same thing as student handbook.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
But
they're
they're
not
employees are not students.
But if,
But that's the same,
yeah,
in the same vein, so we need to table that one
Yes.
definitely.
I think we'll just put the sentence about as an information item and treat it as a living document.
There you go. Worked for me.
And if put in the minutes that if there are any changes, that I'll notify the board.
yes.
All right. So we got the compensation plan now.
That way that's in the minutes.
Yeah.
Not what anybody's-
Next considered is the compensation plan. You've had time to review. Is there any discussion upon that? The last packet.
I like that you got the new vision and mission on here.
Tracy did that. She's fancy.
So we're going with the 2% across the board.
Yeah.
For the
Raise.
most part. Some of them will
Okay.
get more.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
And on the midpoint salary schedule, it was 2%
Of
2%.
midpoint.
over midpoint, right?
Of 2%
Either way,
of midpoint.
2%.
Now, if there were situations where, an employee really should at least be at midpoint, and they were not. We brought them up to at least midpoint.
Any concerns? If not, do I have a motion to approve as presented by Ed Mill?
I so moved.
First by Sarah. Second by Chad. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed. Motion carries 6-0. I think the last thing I have is, do I have a motion to adjourn at 7:31?
Also move.
All those in favor? Count and see.
You have to go second to them.
I just put it on there because it felt right.
You got one?
It just felt right.
I'm good.